As we come to Austria, we have finally got the news which a lot of the paddock has been very much waiting for. We finally have news on the case with regards to Ewan Wright, the Ford team principal, and all of the action surrounding him at Ford's party. So if you guys are unaware of the current situation, we'll briefly round it up for you right now. So Ewan Wright, team principal of Ford, hosts an annual party for all of his staff members and any other member of the F1 paddock to come along and celebrate Ford's time in Formula 1 and just to bring everybody together, in which a lot of the paddock do actually find a very nice touch. Now during that time, it was a showcase that Ewan Wright had a brawl at that team party and was initially arrested for his actions. Now it all kicked off a little bit more because some of the drivers did actually turn up there. Tom was there, Reese was at the party, Sergio Perez was, and so too was Lewis Hamilton. Now, Sergio Perez and all of that came out and said that Reese had made some homophobic comments towards Ewan Wright, which caused the entire brawl to take place. Now, that all turned out to be completely false. We still actually don't know why Sergio Perez came out and said what he said, and that obviously caused Tom and Reese to basically go up against Sergio Perez, and in which the only man that could potentially help with that was Lewis Hamilton. Now, Lewis Hamilton actually did all of his talking in complete private, and now it's come to this. So Ewan Wright has been fined 15,000 euros for his incident at Ford's party. Now this is not with regards to his actions in terms of the brawl. Now the reason that the fine has come place is because of all the damages that he sustained after getting involved in the attack. Now what it actually showed was that Ewan was shown to actually have been defending himself against gate crashes. Some people managed to find their way into the party and they went straight after Ewan Wright. These are known to have been protesters for Ford who were very unhappy with Ewan Wright as team principal of Ford and wanted changes. So they managed to gate crash the party and attack, in which Ewan went self-defense to try and fight off against the muggers, but in which he caused lots of damage to other parts in which he probably shouldn't have done. And of course, the fine also comes into place as he was very, very heated afterwards and started breaking a few more things afterwards. Still doesn't make sense as to what Sergio Perez was doing and all of that, but that's what we can now officially confirm from the news in terms of why Ewan Wright is in this situation. Now, it's been confirmed by Ford that Ewan Wright will remain as the team principal of Ford after finding out all of this. However, as a punishment, not only for the incident, but also for causing major damages to other parts of the factory during the party, they have decided that Ewan Wright will return to his role as team principal at the start of next season, and they've decided that he will not take part in any more races this season. He'll base himself back at the Ford's factory, and then he'll come back next season to try and redeem his reputation after it was slightly damaged after the incident involved in that. But Ewan Wright technically is a free man, and the brawl was literally because of gate crashes. The only thing to try and finalise from all this now is what Sergio Perez was saying with Reese coming up with homophobic comments. That's the thing that now is going to be very much on everyone's mind after we've seen all of this. Taking a look then at the race news heading into this weekend, Tom has topped all three of the practice sessions, admitting that he has fallen in love with this circuit. He believes that he's got the car and set up absolutely spot on. Ferrari though are close behind with their straight line speed definitely helping them, especially in Sector 1. Red Bull and Mercedes have got very, very good qualifying pace, but of course we are still going to be expecting them to slip down the order with their race pace, not traditionally been as strong as what we have seen. Now, also following from this as well, we know that there is going to be some rain that is going to be threatening qualifying. Now, this is going to potentially mix up the grid if it does come. Of course, we've seen before how the rain likes to just sort of come around and then just never show up. So if that rain does hit for qualifying, it could make things very interesting. And McLaren finally are expected to have good race pace, but in qualifying, potentially not so much. But however, with that rain coming along, it might just be able to help them out if they do struggle with their qualifying sim pace. But with that being said and done, let's get straight into the Austrian Grand Prix. Yo, what's going on guys, it is Foxydude here. Welcome back to a brand new episode of the F1 journey for you guys today here on the channel. Today we are here for round number 13 of season number 6 here for the Austrian Grand Prix. And as you can see then, we're going on board here with our one and only lap actually that we really managed to get in this race because qualifying was actually scheduled to be wet, but it started off dry, but the rain was very fast approaching. So I decided to take the opportunity now to just get a lap in here. So as you can see, we've gone fastest through the middle sector on this current lap. I think someone might have actually beat that lap time. Oh, sorry, that middle sector time, sorry. But as we go through the last sector now, this is where you can really gain a lot of time here. And this is where the track, even though the rain's not falling, it just felt a little bit slippery there. So we went very wide on the exit. And we crossed the line set 57.9, so we do go under the 60-second barrier there, which is quite fun. Now, I went on to another lap here. You can already see the rain just started to settle here on the screen. Now, I knew that I actually could go a lot quicker than that first lap, even though I went wide, you know, in that corner. I still felt like there was plenty more time to find. And you can see here, even going towards the start-finish line, we just couldn't really get anything out of it. I couldn't really get the extra bit of traction there. And from that point onwards, the rain just kept on falling. And there was just no opportunity for me to improve. So we did try again, but we're over 4 seconds down. So that does mean that we're going to start the race from pole position because nobody on the grid can get a lap in. So it's pole position for the Austrian Grand Prix. Alright then, so a complete contrast to yesterday's qualifying session. But anyway, it is the F1 Journey Austrian Grand Prix, season number 6, round 13, here at Spielberg. And we are in for a dry race, which, as you can see, is a complete contrary to what we had in qualifying. There is scheduled to be no rain, and we still haven't actually had any wet weather conditions so far, in the race, that is, in the F1 Journey Season 6 so far. The 2.683 mile circuit, very, very short lap overall. As you saw, we actually managed to break the 60-second barrier as we set ourselves a 57.9 fastest lap, so there is still plenty of pace to go through. We've got the soft, medium, and the hard compound tyres. Now we are going to have to start the race on the softs, obviously, because we did manage to actually qualify in that session, and you can see we're on board here, or looking at Lewis Hamilton and his beautiful black Mercedes there as he's getting ready to get this race underway. I believe he starts on the front row actually for this race, and we're going to find that out right now. So having a look at the grid then, it is ourselves on pole position. Hamilton does indeed qualify on the front row of the grid. Mercedes showing they've got the qualifying performance, just not showing that in the race. Reece then third on the grid ahead of Max Verstappen with a fantastic qualifying session for Red Bull in P4. Leclerc starts in 5th ahead of Nico Rosberg in the second, Mercedes in 6th place. Pascal Wehrlein starts 7th for Porsche ahead of Carlos Sainz in 8th place for Ferrari. Then down in 9th place is going to be Mason Woods and Pierre Gasly starting in P10. You can already see what's happening here. Perez in 11th, then Sam down in 12th. Remember, a lot of these drivers couldn't get a lap in because of the wet weather. Bottas 13th ahead of George Russell, right down the order in P14. Noah James is in 15th place ahead of Lando Norris, who is in P16. C17 then is going to be Sebastian Vettel ahead of Nico Hülkenberg in the second Porsche car. And then the shock of the field is that Daniel Ricciardo starts in P19 for McLaren, again after getting caught out by the wet weather conditions. He did not go out early enough and he couldn't set a competitive lap in there. So it's a very mixed up grid order for the Austrian Grand Prix. A couple of regulars at the front, but we're going to do a one-stop strategy, mediums, soft to medium, sorry. So let's see how we get on then. We've got 5 red lights here for the start of the Austrian Grand Prix, and it's lights out. Away we go here to start this race. It's a beautiful start though off the line there, getting a very good run. Hamilton then goes towards the inside line into turn 1, which is not the best idea because it just means that we can swoop through turn 1. We probably did actually get the best run through though. Probably could have gone a little bit faster through here now as we make our way down towards turn 3 here. Hamilton using a lot of the ERS now battery to try and get in front of us. We'll have to cover the outside line here, give Hamilton the the inside line, give Hamilton the outside line, but eventually we can just swerve that one off and we're back in front now of this Austrian. Well, we never actually lost it in the first place. Yellow flags down towards the hairpin, but that's just because everyone's going at an absolute snail's pace to get through that corner as we now go through down in towards the middle sector of this lap now. And this is where we need to pull away from Lewis Hamilton because, of course, the slipstream and the DRS is so powerful around here, being 3 DRS zones all on the straights. We really need to get away now from this pack. We know the Mercedes is not great on race trim, so if we can stay in front of Lewis Hamilton, he is hovering right on the back of us, so it's actually one of the McLarens there, so that's Charles Leclerc that's already up into 3rd place then in this Grand Prix, so he's had a beautiful start then. Verstappen's had an awful start in there because he's dropped behind both the McLaren and the Ferrari there, so let's have a look at the race start though as we finish the first lap of this Grand Prix here. 5 red lights go out here in a second right now, and as you can see, Verstappen there, not a very good start. Leclerc gets a beautiful start and he's got the outside line into turn 1, the racing line there, so he's going to be able to swoop through alongside Lewis Hamilton, and he does so. He gets past Reece in all of that as well, so Reece didn't get a brilliant start either in the Ferraris. They now charge up towards turn 3. This is where you can see Hamilton did have a little look at us. I wasn't using any of my ERS or rich mixture. Of course, that's exactly what Hamilton would have done, so there's no surprise really that he managed to do that. But this is on board with Leclerc, so this is what I'm saying here. He gets the run of Verstappen, and he's just got the racing line into turn 1. He can just swoop around the outside, get the better exit, and he's through. No need to worry about Reese. He can then set about slipstreaming Hamilton, and there you can see he's now got Reese in his wing mirrors, and he's through and in front. This is Sergio Perez's perspective now, and Sergio got an absolutely mega start here. Not this phase, but he gets past the Ford car. But watch this. Into turn 1. I'll see you all later. He's just dove about 4 cars around the outside there of turn 1. And he's right up now behind Rosberg and all of that. So a beautiful start there from Sergio Perez in this Grand Prix. We're on to the lap. Well, that's a bit wide there. That's a track extension warning. Great. We've got a yellow flag, though, in the background for one of the Ford cars there as we set the fastest lap so far of a 1:08, and we're going very wide again here. Really not helping my track extension warnings when we're only on lap 3. To be honest, like I said, I have no idea how many track extensions I actually got because I have to hide that bit of the HUD. So, yeah, it's a bit of a shame that, but it is what it is. We do get a virtual safety car now for the incident involving what looks to be a Renault coming into the pits and a Ford. So this is on board with Pierre Gasly, and that's where that was just a Renault then that just took a little bit of front wing end plate damage there. So Gasly now is currently limping his way back to, well, just out of the race really. An engine failure unfortunately has cost him dear in this Grand Prix. He's out of the race, and yeah, a bit of a shame there for him. We've got another yellow flag now onto this Grand Prix. As you can see that we've built a huge lead now here on lap 6 of the Grand Prix as we now begin to pull away this race. So that looks like it is one of the Audis there. I think that's George Russell that's out of this Grand Prix. So Russell already started out of position here. Nearly makes contact actually with the McLaren and also my teammate Sam there. But that's a disaster for George Russell in this Grand Prix and a big blow for Audi in this race. But we're going to press onwards now with our own race and try and keep powering along really as we now breeze through on in here. And we've got a slow car again, just where George Russell is out of it, and they've just sped up again. So what's that about? This is Lando Norris now, and he just stops and then goes. Okay, that's very random. I've never seen a Formula 1 car in any game do that, so that's weird. But onto the live coverage now. We're on board with Mason Wood here, who locks up into turn 1, very wide on the entry there. And now Sam is going to have a great run here with some DRS now at his disposal. He's got to be careful of the Audi behind him. This is George Russell just before he DNF'd from the Grand Prix here. So we are going backwards a little bit in this race just to catch up. Russell goes for a huge dive down the inside here on Sam. In fact, Russell would have got past Sam in all of this because as soon as Russell DNF'd from the Grand Prix, Sam was in front of him and all of that. So let's have a look then. So we're back on board now towards the front of the field. This is how Lewis Hamilton now started to drop back through the order, because once Russell and Lando Norris having a little bit of issues with their cars, Hamilton was actually behind the McLaren of Charles Leclerc. Leclerc's having a sensational Grand Prix so far. He started down in 5th place, I believe it was. He's already up to 2nd now in this race. Here's Perez now having a look at Verstappen here. Max, though, has got the inside line. And in fact, he's a little bit too far ahead now. Reese is now past Lewis Hamilton. So Lewis, once again, dropping back now as I believe it was confirmed. I think it was at this point in the race, as there goes Perez for a huge dive bomb on Verstappen there. I believe this was the point in the race when the engineer told me that Lewis Hamilton had a car problem. So that's why Lewis Hamilton is dropping down like a fly. Because his car has got mechanical issues. What issues? We don't know, but unfortunately, it's costing him dear here. But this is a great scrap now between Verstappen and Sergio Perez. Of course, Verstappen started in P4, but unfortunately, that Red Bull is just not great in race trim. But Verstappen holds on in there through the middle sector, and he's through it away as Sergio Perez did actually get back past him. I couldn't catch where he passed him, but now as they go in towards the first corner here, it's going to be quite weird. It's going to be throwing wide. Sainz is going to have the outside line. That's a lovely double overtake there from Carlos Sainz. He's through now ahead of Perez and Verstappen. Verstappen has DRS here on Sergio Perez. Perez has got the slipstream though on Carlos Sainz, so you can use that to stay ahead of Verstappen. But as they go now in towards the hairpin here for the very last time of however many they're going to do this, Verstappen is unfortunately going to be ahead of Perez. He's got the DRS, but now Perez has got the DRS here because he was in the 1 second window of Sainz now going towards turn 4. Verstappen though has got the inside line, but Perez has the outside line. Traditionally in these new, much quicker cars, it is the outside line that definitely benefits you, but on that occasion, Verstappen says no, I will keep going with that. Now on board here with the battle at the front of the field now, Leclerc was in 2nd place, but Reese now fancies having that 2nd place, and I am all for this because I'm just in front of this group of cars, and if they want to keep on scrapping and let me pull away, You guys crack on. That's absolutely fine by me. As Leclerc now has got the DRS on the run down towards turn 4. Reese doesn't have it. In fact, in fairness to Reese, he really kept on the pace there with Charles Leclerc. And you'll be able to see me. Oh, you just didn't quite see my car then. I was hoping you'd see my car. Just flick on through so you could see the gap that we were beginning to pull out here. But Leclerc now is definitely rolling along. As for Hamilton, his race again, like I said, is very much compromised. His teammate Rosberg goes through on the inside there, makes the overtake stick on Hamilton, and unfortunately the car problems that Lewis is suffering with is really not helping him out in this stage of the Grand Prix. As Reese now with the DRS here going towards turn 3, he's going to have a look here on Carlos Sainz. He's going to go for it down the inside now on I said Reese hasn't having a go on Carlos Sainz. Carlos Sainz is Reese's teammate in the Ferrari. That's awkward. Reese having a go at Leclerc down into turn 3. So we correct that. There was us then, just going through the middle of turn 4. So we're pulling away from these lot. We did have the pace anyway to pull away from them, but the fact that they're scrapping, it's just giving us absolute acres of time to work with. And I noticed this straight away. I saw on my minimap that they were just constantly changing and swapping for position. You can see them here now as Reese once again is going to have a look at Leclerc in towards turn 3. And this is what I wanted to get away from. If these guys were in my DRS, it'd be probably a completely different scenario because they've got better cars in a straight line than I do. Luckily, Hamilton was in front. I managed to pull out a 1 second gap. Then they had to scrap through Hamilton. Now they're scrapping with each other. I'm just able to pull away off into the distance as Reese now tries to go down the inside into turn 4. We've seen it work for some other cars, but unfortunately for Reese, it doesn't quite work out for him. He does try to go around the outside of 5, but that's probably not the smartest idea. Now he's got Nico Rosberg hovering all over the back of him here. So the Mercedes of Rosberg started to come alive. And he might just get a better run on the exit. He does now get that exit. And in towards the sector last corner here. This is going to be Rosberg's for the taking. It is Rosberg's for the taking. So Nico Rosberg now moves into 3rd place in this Austrian Grand Prix. Reese drops to 4th now. Getting a little bit impatient, I think. Trying to overtake Leclerc. Trying to do it into a very strange portion of the circuit here. As we're now going on board here with Ricciardo and Sergio Perez. So Daniel Ricciardo, who started in 19th place, can I just mention, is, I don't know where he is on track. I don't know where Perez and Sam and Ricciardo are on track in all of this, but he has flown through this field. Absolutely flown as he now gets past Sergio Perez. Quite convincingly, actually, as we now got board here with the 2 Red Bulls having a little bit of a scrap. Also, one of the Renault cars of Valtteri Bottas. That's a big lockup from Bottas into the hairpin there. But he manages to get in front of Verstappen. And so does Mason Wood, actually. They both pass Verstappen. Bottas here has got DRS now on Mason, so this might be a little bit embarrassing for Mason as they go now down in towards turn 4. It doesn't quite work out for them on that occasion. Even more scraps going on. We love scraps. Ricciardo and Perez are back at it again as these 3 cars have now caught up to the ill-afforded Lewis Hamilton, who's unfortunately struggling with mechanical problems here. So we're on board with Perez now, trying to defend here. Looks like against Sam. Sam might have the outside line here into turn 1. Of course, he is still attacking. He does have the outside line, and he's through and passes Sergio Perez. So lovely overtake there as Daniel Ricciardo now is going to breeze past Lewis Hamilton and make that overtake stick for him there. So lovely stuff from Ricciardo. He's having an absolutely blinder of a Grand Prix. I have no idea how he's made up so many places. Like I said, he started in 19th place. In fact, we can check that now where they're scrapping to. I'm not really sure, actually. Anyway, back on with the live coverage here. Just thought I'd let you know I am in this Grand Prix. The only difference that's happened is the gap between me and the rest of the cars. I was cruising in this Grand Prix, which is why you've seen nothing of me, because there's nothing to show. We're coming into the pits, though, for our one and only stop onto the medium compound tyres. But so far, I'm just having an absolute joy right now. I'm just chilling, doing my own thing. I was actually, I was texting my agent to see if we could find a drive, because obviously, as you know, I don't actually have a drive for next season as of yet, because I've been dumped by McLaren because of Monster Energy, so stuff that company. As we come out of the pits now, we're just behind Perez, Sam and Hamilton, having a little bit of a scrap here. They're actually passing Hamilton, as Daniel Ricciardo just got past Hamilton early on. Now all of a sudden they're getting past him, and we're back on board with ourselves here now. And of course, we're catching up to Lewis Hamilton. That just shows actually how much problems Hamilton has been suffering with. Remember, Lewis Hamilton was right on the back of us on the end of the first lap. Even on lap 2, he was still kind of in range, actually. Probably would have got DRS on me. But the tides have turned. His car is now struggling, and we're going to go initially to the outside, and you can just see the pace that we've got on him. So I just thought, you know what, I can just go at the inside here, carry the speed through, and we're straight through on Lewis Hamilton. You can already see how far back he's dropping. Look at him. I think he's actually coming to the pits anyway. But his race is unfortunately going to pot here. We're on board now with Charles Leclerc, who's looks like he's overtaking one of the Red Bulls. No, that's not what you want to be doing, Charles Leclerc. He's just gone straight into the back of one of the Red Bulls, going into the pits, and he's got front wing damage now in this Grand Prix. And Reese, who is in 4th place, will be technically in the net P3. is going to nick the position, surely, off of Charles Leclerc. He can't hold on for that much longer now with that damage to his front wing. We're going to keep on board, though, with Reese as they go up the hill here. And looks like the McLaren's still got the straight line speed to handle it. But Leclerc, who was running in second place very comfortably, actually, was thwarting all of attacks that Reese was putting at him, has literally just ruined his own race now by smashing into the back of the Red Bull there, which is a complete disaster now. We're on board here with Nico Rosberg now. He's caught up to Carlos Sainz in the second Ferrari. Rosberg on the medium tyres, Sainz on a set of hard tyres. Crucially enough, it was a bit of a split strategy actually. Some cars went and boxed for hard tyres, some cars went and boxed for the medium tyres. I went mediums because I could do the strategy that was provided for me, but Rosberg now, of course, not got the straight line speed in the Mercedes-Benz, but with some DRS, he can get that overtake done. And he gets past... No, he doesn't get past Sainz. A little bit skirmish on the exit of 4 there. That's going to give Sainz the inside line now for the middle sector here of turns 5 and 6. And Sainz is going to say, thank you very much. I'll retake the position as Reese there is just in front of this group of cars. And then here come the other two now, breezing on through. But Rosberg will have a brilliant exit here now. And surely will be able to get the run into second to last corner. No, he doesn't. So he's not using any extra power there to try and get through in that portion of the track. I can confirm, by the way, I'm pretty sure Charles Leclerc did actually pit for a new front wing and tyres. So I'm just trying to get the onboard. Yeah, so Sainz there is third in this Grand Prix. Drops to fourth now, as you just saw from the onboards, because I was messing around with the cameras. So at this current moment in time, I currently lead this Grand Prix. Reese is second in the Ferrari. Then it's obviously Rosberg, because he just got in front of the Mercedes, and then it's Sainz. So Leclerc damaged his front wing and had to actually box for a new one. So his race has just gone completely kaput. But Sainz now fancies that place back on Reese now. And this is also going to help Reese out. I just said Sainz is going to get that place back on Reese. I swear to God, I've been injected with David Croftitis. And as you can see now here, Sainz is now under attack from Rosberg again. These two, literally, just sit back and relax. Just grab some popcorn and just watch some F1 battling. Because I think I was literally on my phone for about 25 minutes. Literally just watching these guys just fight it out consistently. It was pretty mad. And they just kept on going at it. Rosberg now going towards turn 4 and going around the outside of Carlos Sainz, but Sainz holds him off quite comfortably, and he is through, and that is a lovely overtake there from the man himself, and he can press on his way now. As you can see here, Rosberg, though, gets a very nice run out of the exit of turn 1, and now he's going to get him in towards turn 3 here, down the inside on Carlos Sainz. Sainz will have the outside line to work with, remember, and he'll have DRS, I believe, on the straight, unless I'm wrong. I could be. No, I'm not. Sainz does have DRS on the straight, so he can now breeze on through here. He's going to be a complete mincemeat here for Carlos Sainz. It's actually a little bit more competitive than I thought there. Mercedes seem to have some decent straight line speeds coming along here as Rosberg now gets on through, and there's Reese just powering off into the distance. Also, the man on a mission, Daniel Ricciardo, is closing up to the back of these two. Could Daniel Ricciardo, from the back row of the grid, get a podium finish in this race? That'd be mental if he could do that, as we now watch on board again with these two scrapping it out as Rosberg now makes the move here on Carlos Sainz, and now Daniel Ricciardo just trying to press onwards now as Sainz is again dropped back, and Rosberg has got the DRS on this straight, so Sainz can't respond on this occasion now. But guess what? We're back on board with them again as they go now in towards turn 3 here. Sainz going to go for it now on Nico Rosberg. Rosberg goes a little bit defensive into turn 3 actually, and that's going to give Daniel Ricciardo a little bit of a run surely now going towards here. It's going to be the DRS for Sainz. He's going to tuck into the slipstream now, moves instantly to the outside of 4. But let's see now if he can make this move stick around the outside here. Rosberg will try and defend the inside line. Sainz goes around the outside though of turn 4, and he's going to make this one stick actually here. He's going to have the inside into 5 and 6 then. Let's see if Rosberg will keep this going side by side. Sainz though does get in front of the Mercedes-Benz driver there. And Daniel Ricciardo now is right on the back of Nico Rosberg. Can Daniel Ricciardo get the exit out of here and try and go for it? No, he's got the exit. This is going to be great for Daniel Ricciardo. Going to go down the inside into the second to last corner. Now it's Daniel Ricciardo that's going to have a run on Carlos Sainz for a podium finish. Remember, like I said, he started 19th in this Grand Prix. He's absolutely blitzing it. He's got DRS now. It's towards the first corner here. He's going to have to close up to Carlos Sainz. Now as they go on through it towards turn 2 here. Here comes Sainz now to try and defend here. Here comes Ricciardo now with that DRS and slipstream. Is he using any extra power? He definitely is, because he's going to go for it down the inside of turn 3. Down the inside goes Daniel Ricciardo. He's going to have to try and get on the power a little bit earlier than Sainz. It's not worked out though. DRS will be at his disposal. Rosberg meanwhile is just waiting in the wings now for an attack here. Ricciardo goes to the outside line. It's going to be tougher for the Ferrari to defend against the McLaren, because they've both got equally as fast cars in a straight line, so it's going to be harder But Sainz, all he needs to do is just keep holding off these drivers because the medium compound tyres will fade before theirs do. Meanwhile, we're going back on board here with Sam, my teammate, who's trying to recover in this race, and he's now going to breeze past Lewis Hamilton here, who is still having a dreadful Grand Prix. Sam there, I believe he's up into 6th place now, or 7th, something like that. I'm not really sure, if I'm honest, where he's actually currently at on the track. But we're back on board with this scrap again because it's literally the only thing that just constantly kept happening in this Grand Prix. Ricciardo here trying to make a move on Carlos Sainz around the outside of 3, but Sainz there doesn't actually get the exit this time, so that's going to give Ricciardo the run. So the outside line into 3 is your best bet of making an overtake. You can just get on the power so much earlier in these cars, and Ricciardo is up into a podium spot. Oh my, that's absolutely insane. But as you can see then, onto the last lap of the Grand Prix with myself now. I had the easiest race I've ever had in an F1 Journey episode. I dominated this Grand Prix. I think I led nearly every single lap as we lose the back end on the exit there of that corner. We even got a time penalty for it. I don't even care. We crossed the start-finish line to win the Austrian Grand Prix by quite some margin. We dominated the Austrian Grand Prix here today, and it was an absolute joy to dominate this Grand Prix, and yeah, pretty awesome stuff there. But as you can see then, we managed to win the Grand Prix ahead of Reese then in the Ferrari. I've just noticed actually, whilst I'm post-commenting this, that Ricciardo and Sainz's times are the wrong way round. So whoopsie-daisy, never mind. Sainz actually finished 20.1 seconds behind, and then Daniel Ricciardo finished 20.4 seconds behind. Just flip those around, it's fine, don't worry about it. Yeah, as you can see there, Ricciardo finishes in 4th. Great recovery though from Daniel Ricciardo. A bit of a shame that he couldn't get a podium, but at the end of the day, he started 19th and he finished in 4th. Rosberg finishes in 5th for Mercedes-Benz. And then my teammate Sam managed to recover to 6th after starting 12th, I believe it was, in Jaguar. Not quite as a better recovery as what Ricciardo did, but it's damage limitation for him today. Hamilton finishes in 7th for the second Mercedes-Benz. In fairness, he was only 27 and a half seconds off the race winner, me. And he had damage, he had a car problem. Perez finishes in 8th, ahead of Charles Leclerc in P9. It could have been much, much more for Charles Leclerc. It could have been 2nd place in that race if he didn't break his front wing on the Red Bull car there. And Pascal Wehrlein finishes in P10 for Porsche with a 41.1 second deficit. And meanwhile for me, yeah, I set the fast start of the race with a 1 minute .168. And I don't know how many time penalties I got, probably about 2 or 3, but it is what it is. We go now into the second half of the table. Bottas finishes 11th for Renault, ahead of the 2 Red Bulls of Verstappen and Mason Wood. Verstappen started in 4th place. He couldn't make his race pace work, which is a real shame for him. Hulkenberg finishes in 14th place, ahead of Noah James in P15. Vettel and Norris 16th and 17th. Ocon is 18th, and then it's George Russell, P19 DNF, and Pierre Gasly, P20 DNF. In the Drivers' Championship now, though, we are now in front of Sam in the World Drivers' Championship. We are now on 204 points, with Sam on 194 points. The gap now 10 points in my favour after we now retake the lead of the championship. Reese is in 3rd place for Ferrari with 175 points, still keeping himself honest in the championship battle, as Sainz is now 4th on 137 points, as then George Russell stays in 5th in the championship despite the DNF. He's on 119 points with Daniel Ricciardo on 114. Both Mercedes cars, Hamilton and Rosberg, are on 80 points each, and Charles Leclerc is on 72 points. Again, could have been so much more for him. And then Sergio Perez on 62 points. Next up is going to be the Italian Grand Prix. Now looking at the Constructors' Championship here, Jaguar are leading the way with 398 points, with Ferrari the closest challengers now to Jaguar. It is literally just, can Ferrari fight back against Jaguar and get those Constructors' Championship points on them? Or is it going to be Jaguar just continuing to run away with it? McLaren are on 186 points. They jump in front of Audi now, who are on 181 points. Mercedes close the gap. They're on 160 points now. So that fight for 3rd is still very much open. Red Bull are on 48 points. Renault 27 and Porsche are on 14 points. Ford and Aston Martin, unfortunately, it just doesn't look like their package is good enough to get them any points this season. But reading all of that through, let's get straight into the post-race notebook and see what the teams and drivers had to say after the Austrian Grand Prix. So, taking a look then at the post-race notebook, Tom dominated the Austrian Grand Prix to claim victory here at Spielberg, with Carlos Sainz fending off Nico Rosberg and Daniel Ricciardo to claim P3 in a very highly contested battle that was. But if we have a look then, Lewis Hamilton was left frustrated after car trouble cost him a lot of time. He still managed to finish in the points, did Hamilton, but the car trouble definitely set him back heavily as he expected to get more from the race. Sam was also a man that was annoyed, and he was annoyed with himself after his qualifying performance let him down as he was caught up by the wet weather and just really couldn't capitalise as much as he wanted to in the race and felt like he was just a little bit too cautious with many of the cars that he was fighting against. And finally, McLaren have praised Daniel Ricciardo's drive after a stellar performance where he managed to start the race from P19 on the grid and finished all the way up in P4, just 0.3 of a second shy of a podium finish. It was a brilliant drive from him and something that McLaren are very, very proud of. That being said and done, that is it for today's episode of the F1 Journey. If you guys have enjoyed it, feel free to drop it a like, subscribe if you're new around here as well, and we'll see you guys next time for the Italian Grand Prix. Take care all, peace.